'twas the time of the preacher.
I used to be such a nice guy.
Well, for a man that don't go healed, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
It's a little too early for being that loud. Hey, too late.
What an incredible Cinderella story. This unknown comes out of nowhere.
I guess I'm the only one that remains unaffiliated.
Welcome to the 4-1 podcast, where for 4 minutes, we tackle one topic. Right now, I want to talk to you about critics. You see, I've got my Super Dave helmet on. Look at that. This is from a message series we did several years ago, where we took a look at the life of David. And the way we did that was we called it Super Dave. And we did a series of videos introducing each message. And we took this character, Super Dave. Maybe you've seen his videos before. And they're kind of outlandish and goofy, but they were funny. And it grabbed people's attention and just introduced the topic that we were talking about that day. Well, guess what? Turns out there were some people who didn't like it. Strange, I know. They saw me in the Super Dave helmet and they didn't like their pastor being goofy, I guess. Well, you know what? That's the thing. There's always critics. People oftentimes criticize things they don't understand. Now, sometimes there's an arrogance in that, in the sense that, when we become critical of others, we think, you know what, I know best, and I know what's right, and I don't like what I'm seeing because I don't understand it, and I understand everything. Well, here's the deal. If you're doing anything, there's going to be some critics. There just are. It's a fact of life. I suppose even if you did nothing, there'd be people who criticize that, maybe even rightly so in that regard. But the thing is life's full of critics, and I keep this helmet around to remind me that critics don't define me. They don't control me. I'm pretty hard-headed, and I can take the heat sometimes. Because here's the thing: when you're doing what God wants you to do, there's gonna be people who just don't get it. Like in the Super Dave series, one of the things we did, it was hilarious. Super Dave ends up falling out of a helicopter. And so we had a dummy, and we get this great shot, from the ground up of the dummy falling all the way to the ground. And then, every time the video would end with Super Dave being put out by a fire extinguisher. So now I'm laying on the ground, and the whole thing was funny. But there were some critics who were like, well, I don't like that. We rented a helicopter. It costs like nothing. The deal was, they just didn't understand. But if they'd asked, we could have explained it. We could have shared with them, hey, this is what's going on. This is why we're doing it. I know many people, this was like their favorite series ever. And when I asked them why, the answer was always the same. They would say, because I couldn't help but talk about it. I would share that with other people. One of my friends is a college coach. And the kids on his team, the college-age kids on his team, he started bringing a lot of them to church because he would show them the Super Dave videos, and they thought, I want to check that out. He loved the series. It's his favorite. There were others who would tell me that their grandkids, like 5 years old, couldn't wait to get to church to find out what Super Dave was going to do next. And that was just the start. You start with something to grab people, and then you use that as a platform to share something else. But just because somebody didn't understand it, or they didn't like it, that's the other thing too. We think if we don't like it, then nobody likes it and it's no good. I would just remind you that every time you start to feel critical, is it because you don't understand? Is it because maybe it's not for you? And listen, if something's not for you, it doesn't mean it's not useful for somebody else. Maybe you take a deep breath, take a step back, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to be critical this time. And if you're on the receiving end of some criticism, well, you're in great company. Basically, anybody who's ever done anything has been criticized pretty heavily. So don't give up. Keep going. Take some chances. Give it your best. Swing for the fences. And never stop praying for one.